Do you like super granulating colors? How about a Lightfast super granulating red? That's what we're doing today. Some of you have asked me, do you mix your own colors? And the answer is yes. Yes, I do. I actually very often will sit there and just play with mixing colors to see what will happen if I put two things together. And that's what happened this week. And then once I was done, I kind of took a look at it and thought, this looks familiar. And yeah, it looked kind of like the Schmincke super granulating Volcano Red. But yet not exactly. It was like Volcano Red and Tundra Pink came together. And looking at both swatches separately, it looked a little bit like it was right in the middle of the two. And so I grabbed the Tundra Pink and Volcano Red by Schmincke. So here's our Tundra Pink. And that is a mixture of PB29 and PR233. And this one we've actually mixed before. The Volcano Red we have not mixed before. But Volcano Red is made of PV62 and PR108. So those two, it was like kind of right in between. And I used these three pigments, and we're going to talk about what those are. Now that the mess is cleared away, let's take a peek at the Tundra Pink. And this was back on April 8th. And this is our mix, and this is Schmincke's version. And our mix was so close. It had the PR233 and the PB29 by Daniel Smith. I'm going to link that up here. And they are so close. This was a great match. If you haven't seen that, you can check that video out. But Volcano Red, I haven't mixed yet. Of course, if that's something you're interested in, you let me know in the comments below. Okay, so we're going to take like these two. If we mix them together, they're so very close to today's mix. Okay, as always, I was playing with these beforehand and have them on my big sheet. This is the Bee Inspired watercolor paper, and don't worry about this mix down here. This is definitely, it was something that didn't work out, so that's fine. But here is my mix, and I have like a variety of values and how much I've mixed them just as I was playing. That's my current mix. That is the actual mix. Up here we have Volcano Red. It's a little too warm. It's a little bit too warm. But then I mix the Volcano Red and the Tundra Pink, and you can see that here. And it is a lot closer. A little bit more blue coming through, but you see right there and right there, that is the mixture near my mix. These are so, so close. There's just a little something different, but I think you're going to enjoy today's mix. So we have our Tundra Pink and our Volcano Red, and I will combine those and show you like how they look, and we'll swatch them, you know, together as well. I wasn't trying to create a dupe of these two together, but look at it here. Look at how amazing, and it is very close to the mix I am going to create today. And yeah, when I finished that mix, I was like, this just makes me think of something. And sure enough, that's what it was. To begin, let's give you a look at the actual Tundra Pink and Volcano Red. I'm going to go ahead and wet this paper because super granulated colors do so much better in a wet wash. So we're going to start with our Volcano Red and move my palette out of the way. And this one, again, on its own, it was so close. It is PV62 and PR108, and I will show you what the PR108 and PV55 would look like in comparison. It's still too, Volcano Red is still too warm. So here we have our Tundra Pink, again, PB29 and PR233. And then we're going to let them overlap and mix beautifully right here on the paper. And you'll be able to see how these two combine. I was just like, when I looked, I'm like, my mix, it's not quite Volcano Red, but it's definitely not Tundra Pink. But boy, it's somewhere right smack in the middle. So of course, you know, I had to grab those two colors and mix them together and so that you could see. And here they are, and they're gorgeous. All right, so move those aside. And now let's take a look at the pigments I chose. Now, Tundra Pink has PB29. It's blue. I don't have a blue. I wasn't aiming to make a dupe, a copy, if you would. All right, air quotes there. I wasn't looking for a dupe of this color. I was just playing with pigments and trying to create something of my own. And the way that these pigments like mesh on the paper, like I wanted something that was going to settle into that bottom and kind of glow through and show this light. And more about that in a moment. But we have the 3 pigments here. I had 2 from Daniel Smith, and it is okay to mix pigments, paints from different brands. And we're going to do that today. We're actually going to use 3 different pigments to create our mix. So let's start with the first one, PR233. I started with Daniel Smith, but look at my poor little pan. It is like so almost empty. I don't need to be sticking my big old brush in there. And you might be saying that's a medium brush, but whatever, I digress. I don't want to put my brush into this little pan and damage its point. I need to fill that up some more. So I'm going to set that aside. We're not going to use it. I'm grabbing my Michael Harding palette, and they've gotten a little bit stickier because it is summer. When I first put these in like spring, winter time, they actually did dry pretty hard, but the moisture, the humidity has got them a little tacky. And still my PR233 in this palette there's not a whole lot left here either. But if you're interested in this Michael Harding palette, I can be sure to pop a link up in here so that you can take a look at that. I'm loving these colors. It is like, to me, Michael Harding is like Daniel Smith with honey. They have a lot of similar mixes and such as Daniel Smith. But for me, they're a little bit more pricey here in the US. And so, I don't choose to work with them, but these are gorgeous. But look at this PR233. Hopefully, I'm going to give it a little wake up because, it needs just a little bit of wake up. Somebody had mentioned that you could mix like Michael Harding and the Daniel Smith PR233 and that it wakes up easier. Daniel Smith's PR233, that's like my spirit paint. We both take a little extra time to wake up in the morning. But here, the Michael Harding, just a little bit of spritz, and you see how easily that re-wets and gets going. So look at PR233. Such a beautiful pigment. I absolutely love. This is one of my favorites. It does not have the staining power as some of these others. These other 2, much stronger, and we're going to talk about that. But how would you use PR233? You see this? If you are a wildlife artist, that would be great for, say, like little animals' noses or inside their ears. If you're a floral artist, you can see here, it'd be a beautiful shade to use in florals. And for me, with landscapes, you see, this is one of my most used colors, that and like ultramarine blue. So I like to paint landscapes. PR233 is one that I definitely use. So this is a pigment that I would recommend for any palette. It's just beautiful. I absolutely love it. And we start with it first because it doesn't have the tinting strength that some of our other pigments have, which brings us to our next one, PR108. Today, my PR108 is the brand new color by Core. It's one of the new colors from Core. And this is cadmium purple. It is a beautiful color, so strong. You do not need a lot of this. And PR108 is what is also in the Volcano Red. But Volcano Red is so much warmer. And you're going to see that with Volcano Red and Core's PR108, these two, not the same. That's much warmer, much cooler rather than the Volcano Red. So PR108, yeah, we're going to just pull this out so you can see this color. It is beautiful, but definitely cooler, which is why I always say it is important to know the pigments that are in a mix, because the pigment here and the pigment from Core, they're not the same. Schmincke's is warmer. And so if you tried to mix Core's PR108 to get Volcano Red, it's just not going to work out. It's never, even if you mix it with the PV62, it's not going to work out because that's warmer and this is much cooler. So it is important to know not only the pigments, but recognize that there are different hues for those pigments, and you need one that is similar to try to recreate a mix. So let's look on to our next pigment, and that is PV55. This one is Daniel Smith. So we're using Michael Harding, Core, and Daniel Smith today. And PV55 from Daniel Smith is quinacridone purple. Watch out for this one. This is like, wow. Again, just like the PR108, much more tinting strength than their PR233. We have to start with PR233 because it has less power in this mix. Look at this one go. Immediately, it starts to take off, and there's like this blue that leads out on that leading edge. It like glows. It's so hard. The cameras just don't pick up the blue, but there is a glow that's just this violet blue color. And if I pull this out lightly, it still doesn't quite pick it up on the camera. I'm not seeing it on my monitor, but it's gorgeous. This is a gorgeous color. Now, this is not a color that Core has. I wish Core would create a PV55 and a PR233. Could you imagine if Core had Potter's Pink? It would definitely be on my top of my list. All right, so our Tundra Pink had the PB29, and it's like that water's a little murky there. I'm just going to soak a little bit of that off, and we're going to see, look at the blue, just boom, there it is. It's gorgeous, but this is much more blue versus our PV55. And I wasn't looking for that because I was creating my mix, but when we blend them, they're so very close. And yeah, let's go ahead and look at how we mix up these colors. I set out mixing. I wanted to create a red that granulated and had this glow underneath. And you see here that PV55. I'm not sure for you guys if it's picking it up, but you can see there's a glow. When I look at this in person, there's like a blue that just comes through in this mix. But it's like, it's not blue like what we get from PB29. It is different, and it's just gorgeous. So I'll keep telling you about that as we're going on. Let's look at these three colors here when we kind of put them together and see what happens. And look, I just spritzed a little bit of water. Look at how that PV55 pulls right out of that mix. It's like, wow. So let me push this back up in here and get this mixed. What it is when I first looked at Volcano Red and it had PV62 and PR108, I was like, I wonder, how will this look if I mix PR108 and PV55? Would it be close to Volcano Red? So I went ahead, and that's what that mixture was here in the corner, and I mixed those two together, and immediately, like, it's definitely warmer. But let's take a peek at what Volcano Red looks like beside it. So I put my Volcano Red down here. You can already see, like, this is much warmer, right? And so you're never going to get that mixture even if I was using PV62, which is what's in Volcano Red. The PR108 is warmer than Core's PR108. So that is going to be much warmer. This is much cooler. I'm never going to be able to mix those using those two pigments together. But I just wanted you to see, I was like, ooh, do we have a match for Volcano Red? No, we don't. So let me clean up a little spot here so that we can do some more mixing. Okay, so PV55 and PR108, there's those together. They make a much cooler color. Now let's look at them in a wetter wash. It's looking a little not as granulating in that one above, but here in a wetter wash, granulating colors will shine. So we're giving that a go here, but PR233 is important in this overall mix. If we look at how the colors come together here, there's just that overall hue that they make when they're together. This is closer to our original mix. Now the PV55 is going to give a beautiful glow to our mixture, but there's a reason we need this PR233, and I'm going to show you what that is as we start to mix these. We need to start with the PR233. So again, I said that Potter's Pink has a much lower tinting strength. So I am going to want Potter's Pink to be my prominent pigment in this mix. It also is the heaviest granulator of these three. So when we look at the three of them, Potter's Pink definitely on my little swatches there have the most granulation. And this is going to give it even more granulation, and it's going to warm that overall hue up just a tiny bit. So our PR108, we don't need a lot of this. Watch, boom, it's going to start pushing things away from it. It's a little bit of a bully. It's pretty strong. We don't want a lot. And the PV55 also, wow, that is going to be too much. Like, we don't need that much of this color to get that underlying glow. A little bit more PR 108 there, and we're going to mix these two together. Let's look at what Potter's Pink and PR 108, the Cadmium Purple by Core. Let's look at what these two look like together, because on their own, they just make up almost like a little slightly bit bolder Potter's Pink look. And I'm going to wet that space there and show you Potter's Pink on its own in comparison. So if you want Potter's Pink with maybe a little bit more punch, drop a tiny bit of PR 108 in there and see what you think. If you have that, happen to have that on your palette, the new Core color, I would definitely give it a try. I like those two together. Yeah, it's very similar, just slightly cooler than the original. And the way that all of these come together, and when we look at them, we need this Potter's Pink in our overall mix. So we got our Potter's Pink and our PR 108, and now we need to bring our PV55 into this mix. So again, it doesn't take a lot of the PV55. We're going to start by pulling in a little bit here and seeing how that changes it up. I don't want to make it go violet. I just want that PV55 to glow through when I put this wash down. I want it to settle into the bottom and just provide this light that's coming through. Make my viewer kind of look at it for a moment longer and be like, what is that? What is it about this color? There's something there. And you see here, I can do this very light. That blue is still actually, or that violet is actually still showing through in that really pale, wet on dry wash. It's gonna get my viewer looking like, what is this? There's just a little bit of something extra. We look at those, they're close, but look at how it compares to the mixture of the Tundra Pink and the Volcano Red. These are so close. The Tundra Pink Volcano Red is a little bit more blue than the PV55 offers because it has PB29 in it. But gosh, these are so close. But let's look at the overall mix. Like, I need to mix this up more because I have much more pigment in this wash here. And we're going to go ahead and mix that together. Still, this PV55 just... there's something about it. It was absolutely necessary in this mix. I hope you will see that, and I definitely hope you're going to give this one a try. So my Potter's Pink here, hopefully I have enough, because now even the Michael Harding needs to be replaced. Guys, I love Potter's Pink. If you don't have this on your palette, it's definitely one that I would recommend. Now in this, I'm really going for, it's one of my goals in my paintings as I continue this year, that I'm trying to work on bringing light into my paintings in a way that just brings this like luminosity. I remember seeing paintings by Thomas Kincaid, who they dubbed the painter of light, right? And you could just see in those paintings, like, it looked like the lights were on inside those little cottages and the glow. And so that's what I'm going for. I'm trying to find pigments that are going to give me it just pushes. Look at that PR 108. It's a bully. It just pushes things away. But I want pigments that are I'm going to be able to work into mixes where they will provide this luminosity that just comes through the pigment that kind of sits on top and really provide this beautiful glow. And so PV55 is one of those that I thought, this could bring that to my mix. So I'm going to need a little bit more here. I want to be careful. It's really strong. I don't want to go too much. So just pulling a little bit of that in. And let's go ahead and swatch this and see the PR 233. You see how that, like, underneath it's pink. So what has settled into the cracks looks pink. The PV55 changes that. All of a sudden, what settles into those cracks is this glowing violet color, but it's not super strong, but it's there, and it really makes you pause and take a look at it. So I'm going to mix this. I put my wet wash down. Normally I go from left to right, but today we're going to go from right to left because I'm going to put the mixture of the Tundra Pink and the Volcano Red beside this so we can kind of see how does this look. And immediately, I don't quite think I have enough of the PV55 in this because I would see that violet taking off in the lighter part of the wash and it's not quite there. So I think we need to bring a little bit more of the PV55 into this wash. We'll go ahead and do that. It's just not seeing it. Normally the PV55 pulls out to the edges. Let's just bring the rest of this in and see. Hopefully this is enough for it to show up. Well, we'll just dab a little in our flower right there. Give it a center, but here we go. Yeah, that's going to be better. I can already see it, and I don't know if the camera is necessarily picking it up, but if you guys do this mix on your own and swatch this out, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. There's just a glow. Let me go ahead and go over this just to bring a little bit more of that violet in, because you're going to see. You will see that it does definitely make a difference in this mixture. It's one of the things that makes this so special. And you right here, that violet is kind of pulling out to where there was a little extra water. It will travel. It will travel. When I spritzed the palette with a little bit of water, you saw the violet kind of spill out of that mix. It wants to go. When we compare these two, they both have a violet in them, PV62 and PV55. It just, in both cases, it's the violet settles to the bottom and it just kind of glows through the color in just such a special way. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do a much wetter wash using up the rest of our mix. And here, if I go wet on dry, and there was a lot in my brush, so it kind of becomes a little wet on wet, but there's just a more mass tone version. But when we go very wet and those pigments can settle out, that violet, I mean, there's just, it's special. I hope you guys are going to try this mix. I just can't say enough about this one. See how the PV55 just, boom, it explodes. It pulls right out of that mix. And it happens in this one. It's right up at the edge and up top, like that PV55 just wants to go. So if you have damp spaces in that wash, it's going to travel to them. Let's go ahead and clean a spot off on this palette so that we can mix up our two one more time together, the Tundra Pink and the Volcano Red. And I know we have them up top, but we're going to mix them so we can put them on our little swatch card next to our mix. And you can see why I was like, if Tundra Pink and Volcano Red came together, this is that color. Like, it is so very close. So here's our Tundra Pink. We're going to go ahead and get a little bit of that out, and it's so beautiful. Nice, beautiful, cool, violet pink color. And to that, let's add in our Tundra Pink, our Volcano Red. Mix that in really well. A little bit more. Just build that. I don't have enough mix here, so there we go. All right. Let's see these swatched out side by side. Look at how close it is. It's so close. We'll add some more water so we can get that granulation. But side by side, and I was supposed to put this on my other card over there, but it's fine. We'll just do it one more time so that you can see. But look at how similar those are. They're so very, very close. I mean, I wasn't setting out to make a dupe of mixing Tundra Pink and Volcano Red together. It just happened that when I finished and I was like, oh, I love that red, but why does that look familiar? And I grabbed that swatch card. I was like, this really looks like a cross between these two colors. So of course, you know me, I had to put them on a palette and find out. And you ready? So let's put this on our paper. Look at that. They're so close. I mean, I wasn't trying to, but there you have it. Tundra Pink and Volcano Red, if you have the Schmincke Super Granulating colors, do you think that's one that you might mix up together? Look at them. Look at how similar. It's not an exact match. Boy, it's pretty darn close. So we have the mix and basically the mix. And oh, they're so beautiful. Let's talk for a quick second about Lightfastness. If we look at the Tundra Pink and the Volcano Red, these two colors, both of them, Schmincke gives a 4-star. So that is Lightfast very good. Our PR233, PR108, and PV55, these all have an excellent Lightfast rating. So yeah, it's 4 stars by Schmincke. So those are very good. What's the difference? About 25 years. And if that's not a big deal to you, then you know what? You do you. Don't worry about it. You know I'm going to use these colors regardless. I love them. If you're enjoying this one, smash that like button. So both of the Schmincke Super Granulating colors being 4-star, very good, that provides that mixture, you know, very good. Very good Lightfast. Our mix today is a super granulating red that has excellent lightfastness. Is this one that you will be giving a try? Are you going to create this one? If these 3 colors are on your palette together, now for me, I would use the PR233 from Daniel Smith and the PV55 normally on a palette. But if I was working on my Daniel Smith palette, my core palette would not be far behind. Now, I don't have a PR108 by Daniel Smith. To the best of my knowledge, they don't have a single pigment PR108. If they do, and I missed it, please drop me a comment and let me know. These two are so very similar. So these 3, I don't think I could have on the same palette, but my core palette definitely would not be far from my Daniel Smith palette. These are what I like to think of as my comfort brands. What are your comfort brands? I think of a comfort brand as it's that brand of paint, it's that palette that you just instinctively reach for when you want to go out and or sit down and paint. Core and Daniel Smith. Those would be my comfort paints. What are your comfort brands? Drop me a comment below and let me know. Is this a mix that you're going to give a try? I really hope that you will. Whether it's mixing the Schmincke Super Granulating colors or grabbing these 3 here that I've mixed, I hope you're going to try these. Pop another video up right about here that you might like to watch next. And until next time, my friends, keep mixing, keep creating, and I'll see you in a video real soon. Bye, guys.